Hi, this is Steffany Barton, and thank you for joining me for our class together. We're going to spend the next little while really understanding and embracing one of my favorite topics. This is called Get Intuit, and we are going to do just that today. So before we dive into the material, I thought I'd spend a few minutes just telling you about me. You see, I was raised in a very fundamental religion. And when I heard of intuition, it was presented to me as something that women have that is an emotional, sort of semi-legitimate way of connecting to the world. And so it was largely dismissed and really just set aside as being whimsy. So what I've come to understand through my own studies and through my own experiences is that intuition is not whimsy, it's not fantasy. Intuition is the language of your soul. It's the way that we learn to understand how spirit speaks to us from within. So it's not secondary to intellect. In fact, intuition can inspire us to intellectual pursuits. Our intuition can guide us to the best course of study. Our intuition can help us make savvy decisions when it comes to relationships or even exercise routines. You see, intuition and a strong connection to our intuition can give us a foundation for living a life that is truly inspired. Now, I've created this course, Get Intuit, because I've been in the position of not understanding how intuition works, feeling like it's mysterious, and feeling unable to speak the language of spirit. And now, as a professional psychic and intuitive medium, I can tell you that there is a language, there is a way to understand how intuition works. Intuition makes sense when you learn how to speak and use spirit's terms. So that's what we'll explore. I'm going to break this webinar down into 3 components. In this first bit of time we have together, we're going to talk about how intuition works, how it is that we receive messages, divine messages, in ordinary ways. And it's easier than what you think, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Then in the second portion of the class, I'm going to help you get a good sense of what is real intuition and what's this other stuff that we sometimes come in contact with. Because we all hear lots and lots of voices, and I want you to know the difference between your intuition's voice, your spirit's voice, and the voice that comes to you from fear or ego or this other junk that's out there in the world. Then in the last portion of the class, I want to give you a good working understanding of how to apply your intuition. It's one thing to know what it is and how it works, but it needs to work for you. So we'll learn how to obtain and apply these intuitive messages so you can live your life inspired and guided as we get into it. So first, let's spend a few minutes talking about how it works. Fortunately, we're all equipped with intuition. The good news is you don't have to go away to some retreat. You don't have to spend hours and hours and hours a day meditating. It's not woo-woo or juju or voo-voo or, whatever. Intuition is very practical, and it works in ordinary ways. The secret is learning how to be patient enough to listen and how to be brave enough to trust the intuitive messages that come to you. So there truly are only 4 ways that we receive intuitive messages. Now within these 4 ways, there's an infinite variety of presentations that our intuition can happen, but there's really 4 ways that these messages can arrive into our understanding. The first is through our vision, through what we see. And in spiritual terms or in intuition language, we call that our clairvoyance. Now, you've probably seen the movie The Sixth Sense, where the little boy sees dead people. Well, that experience of seeing spirits or seeing the unseen is called clairvoyance. So this doesn't just mean that we see spirits. Clairvoyance is about our dreams. It's about the imagination that we have inside of us. It's the ability to visualize. So if I were to say to you, could you picture a red ball? And if you can see that in your mind, you've activated your clairvoyance. So intuition can easily occur through clairvoyance. As I mentioned, this happens through our dreams. So in cultivating intuition, as you get deeper into it, I encourage you to start a dream journal. You don't have to figure out what your dreams mean. At this point, as you're developing your clairvoyance, it's enough to just write down the images, write down the impressions, write down anything you can recall seeing in your dreams. That's one form of clairvoyance. Another way that we can experience clairvoyance is through seeing repeating number patterns. Numbers are such a brilliant and such a frequent way that we can receive intuitive wisdom in our everyday lives. So I'd like to spend a few moments explaining to you and sharing with you what numbers symbolize, what each of the numbers symbolize from 1 through 9. Seeing the number 1, or the repeating pattern of number 1, is about new beginnings. The number 1 symbolizes independence, it symbolizes freedom, it symbolizes new beginnings. And so if you're seeing a repeating patterns of 1, if you look up at the clock and it's always 111, or a license plate in front of you is 111, this would be a message from your intuition or from your angels that it's time for a new beginning. It's time for a fresh start. You're supported in taking on these new endeavors. So the number 1 is about making a fresh start. And the number 2, in seeing the number 2 frequently, is the clairvoyant experience or a clairvoyant reminder about bringing things into harmony. This can be partnerships, this can be relationships, but the number 2 is an invitation or a reminder from our intuition to bring harmony, to bring a sense of equality into life. So if you're wondering about a direction to take with a business opportunity because you're tired of going it alone and you continuously see 222 or 22 or 122, this would be an important confirmation or an important information that you receive clairvoyantly that is encouraging you or inviting you to consider a partnership for the business or consulting someone and helping you feel really connected to your work. So the number 2 is about partnerships and unions and harmony. Now the number 3 is about communication. It's about expression. It's about creativity. Sometimes in our world, it's easy to get stuck in our intellect, to think about problem solving and task performing and getting the job done. We want to be effective and efficient. And these things are very valuable indeed. We've got to pay the bills. We've got to make it to work on time. We've got to get things done. But the number 3 is an invitation to be a little bit more creative and to enjoy the journey instead of just worrying about how am I going to get it all done. So if you're seeing the number 3 frequently, seeing 33s or 333, noticing the number 3, that's a clairvoyant experience. And that message is to create, to express, to be a little less linear and a little more expansive. Number 3 is a really fun number. It's a great message, communicates intuitively to create. The number 4 is another way that we can receive a clairvoyant message. 4 is about being practical, but it's also about opening up the spiritual aspect of our everyday life. Oftentimes the number 4 is associated with the angelic realm. So this is an invitation or a clairvoyant message that it would be a wonderful time to bring a little bit of spirit into everyday life. So perhaps this means meditation. Perhaps seeing the repeating pattern of a number 4 is an invitation to study a new spiritual discipline. Maybe it's time to learn a little bit more about angels or to spend some time understanding spirit guides. This class would be a wonderful way to learn about spirit. So the number 4 is about bringing spirituality into everyday life. And that's a wonderful thing. Again, 4 is an assurance that even when you're studying the mystical, There's a practical and a solid foundation to that. There's purpose and there's meaning to it. So it's a good foundation for spiritual study. It's a good time to embrace that there's more to this world than what just meets the eye. That's the number 4. Now the number 5 is the number that invites us to be flexible. 5 is the clairvoyant message to invite change, or at least to get adjusted to a little bit of change in life. Now we all get into our comfort zone. It's true, and it's comfortable to be in a comfort zone. But the number 5 is this, invitation. It's an expression from our soul to loosen up, to let your hair down, to think of other means and alternatives, different kind of options that may bring us back into life, that may inspire us to see the world from a different point of view. So seeing the number 5 is really a message to not resist change and to not to fear doing things different, but rather to be open to new experiences and to new ways of viewing life. 5 is a great number, and it is such a wonderful way to sort of flex and see things from a different point of view. And the number 6 is about manifestation. It's about our practical, our physical surroundings and how we allow ourselves to connect to the stuff here on Earth. So if you're seeing a repeating pattern of the number 6, it's an opportunity, it's a clairvoyant message for you to consider and to take notice of, what do I allow myself to be comforted with? Or what am I reaching to for comfort? So if you're not comfortable with receiving money for your job, or if you struggle financially, trying to make ends meet, or if you're caught in the mindset that there's never enough, the number 6 would be a message from your soul, from your intuition, to take a step back and start thinking differently about finances, to realize that truly we live in a world of abundance and there is more than enough. So the number 6 is really powerful, and it does challenge us to think about our abundance mentality and how we relate to the physical everyday world. It's a great number, a very powerful message that we can receive clairvoyantly from our intuition. Now the number 7 is about faith. It's about holding on. It's about staying the steady course and being strong. 7 is a pep talk from our intuition. It's just the reminder that sometimes things take time, and it may not always be our time frame that our soul or that our spirit is working on. So 7 allows us to take a step back from our expectations and deepen a little bit of the sense of trust. It's just allowing us to be patient. And 7 is a clairvoyant message to remain steadfast, to have faith, because things are working out for our own best interest and for our own highest good. Again, it may not be on our time, because we're really working on divine time. Things happen in season and for the divine right reasons. And 7 reminds us of that when we let go of our own expectations and when we get out of our own way, things work out beautifully, more beautifully than what we could have expected, and probably than what we could have done on our own. So number 7 is about faith. Now seeing the number 8 is a clairvoyant reminder to keep going. Don't quit. Hold on. It's that the finish line is right there. Don't give up. It's the reminder to persevere. So where 7 is a number of strength and faith, 8 is the number of movement forward. It's just that inspiration that we need to give us to that final leg of our journey. So if clairvoyantly you're seeing the number 8, or if you see the repeating pattern of the number 8, it really is a reminder that you're being supported, that you're on the right track, that even when you don't see the light, it's darkest before the dawn. 8 is the number that reminds you, hold on, hold on. The number 9 is about completion. It's about putting things to rest. It's about finishing cycles and tidying things up. Really, closure is what the number 9 clairvoyantly represents. So if you're seeing this repeating pattern of number 9, or if number 9 catches your eye when you're out and about, this is a clairvoyant experience. It's a message from your intuition that there may be some things in your life that you need to get closure on, that you need to settle, that you need to release so that you can have some new beginnings, which takes us back to number 1. So you can see that these numbers 1 through 9, can help us because they're clairvoyant messages from our intuition. They represent very important messages in our lives because sometimes we need to know it's time to begin. Other times we need to have that reminder to have faith. There's moments when we need to be reminded to be flexible. That's our number 5. So each number is a very powerful and pertinent message from our intuition that's right there, that we see numbers all the time, and yet it's wisdom. There's wisdom contained in those numbers. Those are clairvoyant signs. So dreams are one way that we can connect to our intuition through our clairvoyance. Numbers is another way. Another way that we frequently can experience our intuition by what we see are things like little tokens, such as feathers or pennies, even other kinds of coins, nickels, dimes, quarters, $100 bills, if you're really lucky. Maybe not, but at least the pennies are there, right? So seeing these things that catch our eye, these physical tokens, these physical affects, never underestimate those, because those things that catch your eye, that's clairvoyance, literally. It catches your eye and it reminds you that there is spirit in you. There is intuition guiding you, that you're not alone, that you've got these angels by your side. So notice those things, see them, not just for some change on the ground, but see it as a message from your intuition that you're not alone, that you are being guided, that there's wisdom inside. That's another way that we can see spirit, that we can experience clairvoyance in our everyday world. Another way that we can experience our intuition or be in communion with our intuition is through the animals that we see, both in our dreams and in our everyday life. It's amazing how frequently we'll see these images of animals. So if you're out and you see a fox, yes, it's just a fox, an animal, but that's also a messenger. It's a teacher that you see. It's an intuition that communicates to us through our clairvoyance. The fox is about wisdom. It's about being wise, about being smart sometimes, even sly. So pay attention to the animals that show up in your life. And it's really remarkable because animals truly have, in our collective consciousness, a lot of meaning to them. The bald eagle is a symbol of our country. So when you see an eagle, immediately you have that sense of pride and freedom and all the things that our country symbolizes. Seeing a symbol of a bull it communicates something to us. It's about being strong and being bold and charging ahead. So we have already within us an understanding of what these animals represent. We need to start paying attention and noticing these animals when they show up in our lives, because that's clairvoyance. It's a way clairvoyance works. Colors is another way that our intuition can communicate with us, that we receive messages intuitively through our clairvoyance. Now, it could just be that you are out and about in your day and everybody's wearing a yellow shirt. It could be when you close your eyes to meditate, you get flashed with a big burst of purple. But each color is a communication tool. It's an energy form that can help us understand, that can receive a message from our intuition. So I'll share with you a little bit about what each of those colors represent, each of the primary colors and the secondary colors, so you can start to understand why these colors keep showing up in your life, why you're drawn to certain colors at certain times. It's a clairvoyant experience with intuition. So the color red is about passion, it's about being active, it's about getting out and getting things done in life. Red is also about our connection to our food, clothing, and shelter. It's about our root, our basic foundation in the world. So if you're struggling with finances, or if you're wondering about your job, or if you're doubting that, and you're seeing a lot of the color red, your friend's wearing a red shirt, and then somebody else is carrying a red purse, and then a red car drives in front of you, that would be some intuitive information, a clairvoyant experience that's reminding you that you'll be provided for, that your needs will be met. It's a reassurance not to struggle about finances or those basic needs anymore. And that's the color red. The color orange is about our senses. It's about our physicality in the world, and it's about our emotional experience as individuals in the world. So if you're drawn to the color orange, this would be a clairvoyant message from your intuition that perhaps it's time to get more in touch with your emotions. Maybe you need to laugh a little bit more. Maybe there's grief and some tears that need to be shed so that you can feel back into your flow. Maybe that color orange is about changing your diet a little bit, or eating foods that are more satisfying to you. But orange is about our unique individual experience here in the world. And it helps us feel good, not just physically good, but emotionally balanced. That's the clairvoyant message that's contained in the color orange. Now, the color yellow is about confidence. It's about optimism. It's about our ability to trust in the way we can get things done. So if you're seeing a lot of yellow, that's a clairvoyant message from your intuition to have a little more faith in yourself, to have a little bit more confidence, to carry yourself with a little bit more pride, because you have a lot of wisdom, you have strength, you have spirit inside. So there's no reason to doubt, no reason to doubt yourself or to feel insecure ever again. And the color yellow can give you that reminder to believe in yourself and to believe in what's inside. That's the color yellow. It's a very bright and sunny and energizing color too. It's a pick-me-up. The color yellow is a clairvoyant message to pick yourself up and to see the sunny side in life. Now, green and pink often work together and can communicate much of the same message with just a slightly different take. So I'll explain both of those to you now. The color green is about love. It's about growth and fertility. Seeing a lot of green means that this is a ripe time to sow some new seeds, to nurture not just ourselves, but to nurture our planet, to feel connected to our earth. It's about feeling that love, both that we give and that we're able to receive. So that green, and seeing a lot of green, is an invitation. It's a clairvoyant message from our intuition that it's time to nurture and to be nurtured so that we can really feel whole on the inside. So that's that giving and receiving love. Then the color pink is also about love, but it's about this true, genuine, spiritual, unconditional love. It's just love for the sake of loving. It's not so much of the giving love or the receiving love. It's just the being love. So it's a very bright and it's a very full experience. That message, seeing a lot of pink or being drawn to the color pink, is the clairvoyant experience of being love in the world. It's that message from our intuition to just be love, be love. And sometimes that's the message that we need when we're struggling to come up with the right answers, or when we're feeling lost or disconnected. Seeing pink or feeling it or being drawn to that color is just that beautiful, pure reminder that we are love. Just be love. Now, the color blue is about our creativity. It's about our voice. It's about our ability to have confidence in our communication. So being drawn to the color blue is a clairvoyant experience. It's a message from our intuition that perhaps we need to speak our truth or to say what's really in our heart. Sometimes it's easy to judge ourselves or to say, I shouldn't say that, or I don't want to say this. I don't want to upset this person, so I'll just I'll just keep quiet. So seeing that color blue or being drawn to that is an absolute validation from our intuition to speak our truth. Now, sometimes there may be topics that are difficult to talk about, but we have to remember that when we speak from love, when we're speaking from that place of truth, that good comes from that. And so blue is that reminder to speak our truth. And the color indigo, which is a beautiful blend between blue and purple, that particular color is a clairvoyant experience. It's a message from our intuition about dreaming and visualizing. It's the color that helps us to see things that we'd like to experience in our lives. So if you think about writing a bucket list or daydreams that you have, those kinds of dreams are there in that indigo hue. So if you're seeing a lot of indigo, that would be a message from your intuition that it's time to start dreaming. It's time to start planning this ideal vacation, or to start thinking about the perfect date or whatever it is. But we need to have those dreams. It's an important thing that inspires us to hope. And that's what the color indigo is all about. Now, purple is about our spiritual connection. It's about our sense of oneness, not just with our own intuition, but it's a recognition that we're all one, that we're all connected, all together on this world. So seeing a lot of purple would be a reminder, a message that you receive clairvoyantly from your soul to take a step back from the differences and to see the oneness and the unity that we have with one another, and also that we have with our source. Because we all come from the same love. We all come from the same stuff. We're made of the same atoms and the same compounds. I've got calcium, you've got calcium, we've all got carbon. It's all the same. And that color purple is a beautiful reminder from our intuition to focus on the oneness and the spirit, and not to get lost in the separation and all the stuff. And the color white is about releasing any kind of expectations. It's about getting into the heart. It's about purity. So if you see a lot of white, or if you're drawn to white, that's very frequently a message from your intuition that it may be time to simplify, then it might be time to let go of some of the clutter, and then get back to the basics of what you love. So if you're feeling a little bit frazzled, or if you're feeling kind of pulled in all different directions, and you're seeing a lot of white or really drawn to that color, then that is a message from your intuition. Simplify. Simplify. If you see a lot of black, it just means you've got good taste and you're fashionable. No, black is oftentimes not actually about being blocked, because oftentimes seeing like murky colors when you close your eyes, or if you're noticing that colors look a little bit down or dreary or sort of sludgy, that's more about being blocked. Those types of colors, or noticing that, indicates more of block. Black is oftentimes like seeing black when you close your eyes, or just noticing a lot of black and feeling that heaviness, is really usually about feeling disconnected from our own sense of purpose, or feeling ambivalent or uncertain in life. So if you are having that experience where you can't think of any colors, or you just get in a rut where all it is black, oftentimes it's really good to just invite more color into your life. Just close your eyes and grab a color, because that can get you reactivated and reconnected to your world. But seeing that black is not anything to fear or not anything to worry about. Rather, it's just an opportunity to take a step back, to restore, to renew, so you can bring that wide rainbow and that rich variety of color back into your world. So colors are another really powerful way that we experience our clairvoyance, and that clairvoyance is a message from our intuition that can help guide us. So now you know why you like the colors you know, and you can think about your favorite color when you were a kid And you can probably say, oh, that's why I like that color, because I liked to take care of plants. So green was great because then I could give and receive love from animals or plants. Or I liked yellow because I always enjoyed singing and I loved to be confident. And these make sense when you understand the meaning behind them. So that's clairvoyance. That's the way clairvoyance works. Now, I've talked about the clairvoyance with our eyes open, but do know that when you close your eyes and you have visions, or when images come to you, when you see these colors, pay attention to that too, because it's just as valid, it's just as intuitive intuition is the stuff we see with our eyes open. Sometimes we think, well, my eyes were closed, I probably just made it up. You've probably thought that a time or two, but you're not making those things up. The visions that come to you in your mind's eye bear information. Those are messages for you. So now that you understand a little bit about some of this clairvoyance and how it works and what it symbolizes, you can take notice of these images that you see, study them, analyze them, kind of apply some of what we've talked about so far, and then you'll have the message that's there for you. So eyes open, eyes closed, it's all clairvoyance. It's all intuition, and this is good. So that's the first way, is through what we see. Now, let's talk about the next way that intuition works. We see a lot in our world, but we have other senses too. There's other ways that our intuition communicates to us and comes to us. The next way is through what we hear, and that's called clairaudience. So that's easy to remember. Hearing is audio. So clairaudience is about what we hear, both on the inside, our inner voice, but it's also about what we hear on the outside too. One of the most powerful ways that we experience our clairaudience is through music, the music that we hear. Now, intuition works beautifully and can communicate almost miraculously and magically through songs that you hear when you turn on the radio. Through hearing someone humming a tune when you walk by. Pay attention to music. Pay attention to music that you hear, because that's the way intuition can speak to you through your clairaudience. Noticing conversations that you overhear. Pay attention if someone says something to you from just out of the blue. Oftentimes we have these questions, and our intuition will guide the wisdom to us through messages we hear in the world. Now, these clairaudient experiences are definitely worth taking notice of, but your intuition speaks in a loving fashion. So if you hear unsettling information or uncomfortable news or something that feels very heavy or very depressing, that would not be intuition. That's more of a reflection of fear and sort of that fear hearing more about the fears that we may have inside of us. That's not intuition. So let those things go, because there is a lot of noise out there in the world. But pay attention to the music. Listen to those wisdom, those wise words that come to you. Listen to the inner wisdom inside you too. So when you hear a message that says, call your friend, or turn this way, or look at this catalog, or take this course. When we hear that voice inside, pay attention, because that's how clairaudience works, and that's how our intuition is communicating with us. So what we hear on the outside and what we hear from within, that's our clairaudience. Pay attention, listen, because that's the way spirit speaks, is through clairaudience. So we've got what we see, which is our clairvoyance, what we hear, which is our clairaudience. And the next of our senses, and the next way that intuition works, is through what we feel, through our emotions, and that's called our clairsentience. So clairsentience is that feeling that you get. It's your vibes. It's the gut. I have a gut feeling about this, or ooh, this just doesn't feel right, or oh, this feels so good. I get excited when I think about that opportunity. That's clairsentience. That is intuition, and that is powerful, extremely powerful. So pay attention to how you feel. One thing that's important to understand with clairsentience is that oftentimes when we're tapped into that feeling of who we are, that clairsentience, it's easy sometimes to get caught in the fears of others or the emotions of others. We can kind of get swept up because emotions are so strong. So when you're feeling very strongly, and if it hits you kind of suddenly, take a step back and try to get validation from your clairaudience or your clairvoyance or your claircognizance. If you feel really intense, overwhelming feelings, try to get those validated with some of your other intuitions and those intuitive experiences too. Because it is easy with clairsentience to feel our own feelings, but then to get caught in a lot of the feelings of others too. The clairsentience is powerful, so pay attention. Just pay attention to how you feel. Now, another way that clairsentience works is not just through our emotional, touchy-feely kind of stuff. It's through our physical feelings. And you know what this is. If you think about this job opportunity and it feels like someone kicks you in the gut, that's intuition, and I probably wouldn't encourage you to take that job. Now, if you think about the same job and you feel light and you feel like you've got wings to fly, go for it, because you've received a message from your intuition through clairsentience that it's a good fit, that it's the right path for you at that time. So pay attention. Pay attention to how you feel physically. Pay attention to how you feel emotionally, because that's intuition working through your clairsentience, and that intuition works for you. It's information to help you take really good care of yourself. So let's go back to that example. If you're considering opportunity and you feel like you've been kicked in the gut, it doesn't mean that the whole company's horrible or that that thing is just so wrong. It just means it's not a good fit for you right now. You could go and apply for the same job in another 2 years and you may feel like you've got wings. So realize that these feelings we have are not the be-all end-all forever and ever. Amen. It just means that right now, as I am, where I stand right now, my intuition is letting me know this isn't the right fit for me. It could be for someone else, but it's not right for me. Intuition is a highly personal language, and it's really based on where we are in the moment we feel or see or hear what it is we feel or see or hear. So just understand that intuition is very dynamic. It changes, it grows, because we change and grow. So realize that, pay attention in the moment. Notice how you feel, and that will guide you to make the right decisions at the right time. That's how intuition works. So those feelings, the clairsentience. Now the last way that our intuition works is one of the most exciting and the most fun, and that is through claircognizance. You've experienced claircognizance whether or not you know it. Claircognizance is just when you know. I just know I need to call this person, or I don't know why, but I just know I need to go to this class. Pay attention to that and be a know-it-all. When you know something, when you just know it, follow up, do it, trust it, go with it, because that sense of knowing is intuition. It's your spirit communicating to you, and it's good to pay attention to that for sure. I think sometimes where we might get a little bit tripped up with claircognizance is that we receive that message, it's no, I need to go to this class. And then we start kind of working with that in our intellect a little bit. I know I need to go to this class because I'm going to meet this person, I'm going to do this, and then we start taking it 25 steps down the road, when really it was just, I know I need to go to this class to experience this class, to feel the love, to see the smiles, to get the connection. Because as I said, intuition really exists in the moment. It's for where we are right now, and then it'll guide us to the next step, and the next step, and the next step, and the next step beyond that. So pay attention to that. But that claircognizance is when you know what you know, act on it, follow it, because that's wisdom. That's your intuition, and it's communicating to you the wisdom that's there in your soul. Claircognizance. So those are the 4 ways. It's that easy. You see, you hear, you feel, you know. That's it. That's how intuition is communicated and expressed to you. That's it. So now that you know how it works, let's talk about how you'll discern the difference between your intuition and the other stuff. And it's really easy. I've got a quick, easy way for you to separate the good from the other stuff. And it's through the 3 C's. I like to make these things easy so you can apply them quickly and use them right away. So the first C in true intuition, compared to this other stuff, is clarity. Now, I realize that intuition sometimes comes in a symbolic form, like seeing numbers or animals or hearing songs. And yes, that has a symbolic nature to it. But there's also a clarity to that. You hear the song, you see the numbers. It doesn't feel shady or muddled. Intuition has a very clear quality to it. So it feels right. It feels solid in a certain way. There's something that just sounds true, that rings true, that feels good in that intuition. So the first test in intuition, in true intuition, is that there's clarity to it. It's clear. Now, let's take an example. If you hear a message from your inner voice that sounds something like, it's time to maybe make some changes, and maybe you should quit your job. It's not a very clear message, and that's maybe more of some fear or some anxiety, or maybe feeling a little bit out of place at your job, or maybe just going through a phase where you're feeling a little awkward. But that message wasn't very clear. It was sort of indecisive and kind of warbly, and sometimes that is the kind of messages that we hear. Now, if your intuition is communicating to you, you'll hear something very clear like, be patient, or you're loved, or wait, or put out the application. It's a very clear message. Oftentimes it's very concise, but there's that clear nature that's there. That's how you'll know it's your true intuition. It's clear. Now, the next C in discerning true intuition from this other stuff is that it's consistent. There's a consistent nature. As I mentioned with the clairvoyance and the numbers, if you see 111, and then you see 111, and then you see 111, that's consistency. So you know that that's true. Our souls don't tend to change their story. It's consistent. So if you get a message one day, oh, you need to quit your job, and the next day it's, no, you're going to stay at this job for 5 years, and the next day it's, well, you'll be here another 3 weeks. The next day you hear, oh, yeah. That's not clear. That's not intuition. That's just some kind of insecurity or fear or uncertainty that's coming up. So your intuition will be very clear and very consistent. And day after day, there's a consistency to that. Now, there's some flexibility within our intuition. So perhaps one day you receive a message, or you feel just deeply within yourself, you hear your inner voice say you're a healer. That's a pretty broad term. So if one day you feel drawn to a healing modality like Reiki, and a few weeks later you feel drawn to something like working with crystals and stones, that's still consistent within this healing mission that you have. So there's flexibility within that. If one day you listen and you hear you're a healer, and the next day you hear, well, no, you're not a healer at all, you could never do that, you're just here to wander around and be lost. That's not consistent, and that doesn't come from intuition. Intuition is very affirmative. Even if it's about a sensitive topic or something difficult like ending a phase in life or leaving a relationship or making a change with a job, there's still a consistent nature there, and it's still loving, and it's still focused on cooperation and truth and goodness. So even within those difficult areas, there's that vein of truth, but also it comes from that place of love. So intuition is clear and it's consistent. Now, the final test with our intuition is that it has a compassionate voice to it. There's a caring nature to our intuition. And that's pretty easy to understand. Your intuition doesn't judge you. An intuitive message will never be condescending. You'll never be insulted by your soul. That's not what our souls do. Your intuition will have a very loving tone to it. It will come from a place of compassion, even when dealing with difficult situations, even when there's hurt or there's been some kind of harm or judgment. Intuition will guide us to find compassion, to treat ourselves with respect, and to always practice that sense of self-love. So there's always compassion within our intuition. You'll find too that these true intuitive messages are not about what they are thinking. It's about what you can do to really better yourself and to enhance your growth and understanding. It's really, intuition is about being good to you, being the best you. So it's compassionate, it's caring, because your soul does care about you. And that's important because it helps you know the difference. Any message that's judgmental or that's negative, just toss it out, because it's not intuition and you don't need it. You don't need that negativity. It'll just weigh you down. So don't pay attention. So intuition, it's clear, it's consistent, and it's compassionate and caring. Compassionate caring. We'll make that just one word so that it goes with the 3 C's. Clear, compassionate, and consistent. That's the way that intuition works. That's how you'll know the difference between intuition and the other stuff that's out there. So, we know what intuition is and how it works. Intuition is the language of your soul. It works through seeing, through hearing, through feeling, and through knowing. And we now know that intuition is consistent, it's clear, and it's compassionate. These are the qualities and the characteristics of intuition. Now, let's talk about how to apply intuition, really how to use our intuition in an everyday way. Again, bearing in mind that this is going to be easy and wanting to streamline your understanding, I've got what I call the AAA of intuition, of applying intuition and utilizing it in our lives for our best good. So the first A in this application of intuition is ask. I know. Sometimes we forget to ask for help. We want to be strong, we want to be smart, we want to be self-sufficient, we want to be independent, we want to do it all on our own. We're super people. So, asking for a message from our intuition, asking for guidance from our soul, acknowledging that, yes, I need a little help here because I want to be inspired. I want to feel uplifted. I want to be in communion with my soul is such a powerful thing to do. So I encourage you, when you're questioning or wondering, or just if you have any doubt at all, ask. Ask is the first way to open up that font of wisdom that can come to us from our soul through our intuition. So just ask. Hey, give me a sign. Hey, soul, I need a message. Hey, am I alone here? Let me know what the higher wisdom is. Ask. That's step 1. Now, I guarantee when you ask, you're going to receive. So after you've asked and then you've received, you want to affirm and acknowledge. So ask and then acknowledge, because intuition will work. Your soul will speak to you. It can't not. So if you ask for, okay, what would be the right course for me? What would be the right job for me? And you see the image of the company that's offered you a job, or if you wonder if this is a good relationship for you and you see butterflies, or if you're wanting to know if you should write a book and suddenly a book falls off a shelf, acknowledge. Oh my gosh, I saw that. I felt that. I heard that. When you acknowledge, you've engaged this language. You've engaged your soul in the conversation. But you've got to acknowledge that. Yes, I see that. Yes, I heard that. I'm willing to accept that. I acknowledge it because I've asked for help. And I can recognize that I've received that help. So you ask and then you acknowledge. Very important. Then, after you've asked for help and you acknowledge that it comes, then you act. You act. So you've gotten the message and you've heard from your soul, then you take action. You say, okay, well, I asked what I could do to improve my health. Then suddenly a yoga email showed up in my inbox. I'm going to go to yoga. You act on it. Maybe go to yoga and it's not your thing. That's okay. You tried. You acted. You trusted that intuition. And maybe at the class, someone mentioned that they were also taking Pilates. And so you decided, oh, then I'll go to the Pilates class. And maybe that's what you love. That's what you have to understand about intuition. And I think that's so important, but it's what makes intuition so fun, is that it is a journey. It is a process. So you get the message about yoga when you've asked for what you can do to help yourself physically or to heal. You go to yoga class, but it's not so great. It doesn't mean your intuition failed, that you got the wrong message, or that your soul was out to lunch. It means that there's something in that class to pay attention to or to watch for. And sure enough, when you take a step back from judging or thinking you failed or berating yourself because you didn't get the message, pay attention, because there's something there for you to experience so that you can really access that wisdom that's inside. And maybe in that situation, maybe you've always felt like you should do yoga, or, oh, I should go to this. And then when you go, you realize it's not for you, so you can let that go. And then that opens you up to new experiences, new ideas, new thoughts. So maybe you went to the yoga class and it was too bendy and stretchy and you felt like you were going to snap. Then you know, and you can release that. And then suddenly you have the inspiration, oh my gosh, I want to walk because I love being outside. And then maybe you're out walking and you discover that the sunsets are beautiful, so you start taking pictures. And then you discover that you're really good at photography and you've been wondering what you could do as a career path. And then suddenly you're good at photography. And then you notice you're good at nature photography. And then it leads into this beautiful journey of discovering creative talents, of feeling good physically, all because yoga didn't work out. It could happen. You've got to trust, but you've got to act when you receive those messages. You ask, you acknowledge, and then you act. And you take it one step at a time. Remember, again, your intuition doesn't guide you to the end. It guides you to the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step. It's a very loving and it's a very gentle process that happens now, and now. And that is so important to remember, because intuition is such an amazing way of feeling connected to who we are right now and who we are as we change and who we're becoming, and embracing that change and that growth that we're here to experience, because intuition is our steady guide through whatever changes happen in the world and happen in our lives. Our intuition can be that light that shines for us, that helps us really find our way and helps us see who we're truly meant to be. That's what intuition is. It's the language that we have from our soul that helps us know who we are. So there you have it. You've got intuition working for you. You know how to tell the difference between intuition and all the other stuff. And now you know how to apply it. Ask, acknowledge, and act. It's really that easy. I know we've covered a lot, and I've truly enjoyed sharing all this with you. Intuition is just the best, because it really is the gift, the lifeline that we have with our soul. And yet there is so much to practice and learn and to have fun with. And maybe you have questions. Well, I've got answers, and I've got passion, and I've got love. So if you want to go a little bit further into it, please reach out. Please contact me, because I'm here and I want to guide you and I want to coach you and I want to help you understand just how wonderful life can be, how wise your soul is, and all the goodness that you are here to receive. So reach out and let me know how I can help and how I can serve, because I want to help you get further and further into it. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy working with your intuition and being in contact with your soul. Namaste.